Coding with Jess, where you get to code along with me while I build a thing. Alrighty, so it is Wednesday, and we are back at work on our Mumblr decentralized blogging application. But before we jump in, I guess let me address the elephant in the room, or at least the band-aid in the room. Yeah, I actually have shingles, which is this weird recurrence of the chicken pox. Anyway, not a big deal, but I have a weird thing underneath the band-aid, so I'm covering that up so you don't have to look at it the whole time. And also, if that's not enough, 2 of my 4 kids are also sick, and my wife is not home. So at some point, we'll see if this live stream goes for 2 hours uninterrupted, or whether I'm actually having to stop and do kid duty. We'll find out. They'll probably be able to take care of themselves, but raised them to do that. But anyway, so with that aside, let's jump into our project today on Mumblr. So as you know, if you've followed along with me on Coding with Jess before, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing 4 Pomodoros where we work for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. So for the next 2 hours, we'll be working on this project. I'll be talking out loud the whole time. I'll also be watching chat in YouTube. So if you want to interact with me or ask questions or whatever, I'll check in on the chat. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So I'll go ahead and start a 25-minute timer for our first Pomodoro, and let's dive right into our task for the day. So to update you, if this is your first time hanging out or the first time following along with Mumblr, I've been working on this decentralized blogging application called Mumblr for quite a while. I guess it's been about 2 months now, and little by little making progress on it. And it works right now, which is pretty cool. So you can go to mumblr.app, and this will walk you through the process of connecting to a Vision-powered IPFS backend where you can store blog posts. You can go write blog posts. You can build a site, which will then give you your own Mumblr, which mine looks like this, at stream.jessmart.in. Everything works, but at this point, up to this point, I've been treating Mumblr like an educational tool that's largely a proof of concept. In other words, what would it be like to have a decentralized application, decentralized blogging tool that is written on top of Fission's web native and other sort of decentralized protocols? My hunch, and from digging into it, is that the application architecture would be different, that it would force me to sort of rethink some of my client-server approach and sort of the way that I've been building apps for like the last 15 years, 20 years. Yeah, so far, Mumblr has served that purpose. I've learned a ton about decentralized applications, but at this point, it's now working, and I'm using it for my own little blogging stream here of like sort of a microblog, Tumblr-like microblog. And so I'd like to go ahead and make this thing a little bit, take it beyond a proof of concept and make it into what I would call like production-ready software. And so what we're going to do today is start down the path of sort of production readiness of like, let's make this thing a little bit more solid. Right now, all of the code exists in one single main.ts file. Actually, I'll pull it up in VS Code. It's a little bit easier to read there. Yeah, all of the code exists in a single TypeScript file. There's 300 lines or so, 325 lines of TypeScript. A lot of it, I'm also not using a framework in any way, shape, or form. So a lot of this is like very wordy DOM manipulation code that is doing the bulk of driving Mumblr. So what I'd like to do today is actually port Mumblr to a framework so that we can have the benefits of sort of DOM manipulation and sort of reactive functional programming. What we're going to be using is Svelte. So not sure if you've seen Svelte before. I've been using it on several different projects recently. By no means am I an expert on Svelte, but I've found it really delightful. I used it on a site called Sociotechnica and another one called Medium Mashup, which is like a little couple different things I've been using. Oh, see those fancy little Svelte badges there? So anyway, I'm liking Svelte, and also the team that I work most closely with is Fission, and Fission uses Svelte on several of their applications. So I think it just makes sense to kind of go down that path as we are trying to make Mumblr a little nicer. So that is what we will be doing today. The other thing that you know, if you've tagged along with me before, is that I tend to work in like a scratch pad or have a text file open the whole time where I can take notes, where I can keep track of like what I'm working on at this very moment. There's some other bugs and feature requests that have come up over the last 2 weeks, or that not, yeah, bugs, improvements, that kind of stuff. And that I've noted down here, but I really want to spend the bulk of our time today working on Svelte as opposed to fixing some of these smaller things. With 2 hours, we can really dig in and like make a lot of progress, I hope, as opposed to like working across a lot of these things and then starting Svelte at the end. So yeah, today we're going to begin the port to Svelte. All right. So one other thing I should note is that we'll be using TypeScript along with Svelte. I am not an expert in TypeScript either, but I have been using it pretty consistently for the last couple months. But I still feel like a total TypeScript noob when I'm actually programming in it. But hey, it's a thing to learn. All right, so the existing Mumblr runs on a program or a bundler / server environment called Vite. I have learned that that is the way you're to pronounce it. And Vite actually is also what underlies Svelte. So Svelte runs on Vite, but we're going to have to make a lot of changes to almost every file in here in order to port this thing to Svelte. And so I've been thinking this morning as I've been preparing for this, for working on this, like what the best approach is here. And so I'm even now I haven't decided like what the approach is here. There's basically two approaches right now. One, I could like generate an entirely new Svelte application, even a separate repository. Don't want to do that because you lose repo history, but and then work in that for a little while. The other one is I could generate a new Svelte repo and then hand copy in the files that are necessary and then kind of start moving things around. I think that's probably the best approach. So we'll probably start there with generating it, and then yeah, we'll just kind of like look at the two directories side by side and figure out what needs to be copied over, and hopefully get it running at the beginning and then keep it running through the whole process. And then we can slowly add back in the features of like rehype and, or sorry, the generation features and stuff like that. So that's what we're gonna try. One thing I should note is that we're planning on using Mumblr with Svelte to generate the application using this same format. But what I'd like to do is eventually port the target blog that we generate to Svelte as well. And the question I have is whether we can actually use Svelte to generate, whether we can use Svelte in the browser. It's a little bit of a weird thing to, yeah, because we're currently doing all of our, one of the things that you learn about decentralized applications is that they're all client-side. And so all the things are happening in the client. And so, yeah, we'll just, we'll see how that might work. Okay, but that's not today. Today, we're just going to port this part to Svelte, and we'll leave the generation of this part to be sort of hand-coded, so to speak. I think it's possible we might get all the way through the port to Svelte today. We'll see. But a couple of problems that we have to solve along the way. All right, let's start with generating a new Svelte application. This is, yeah, so npm create, pull this over here, go back a directory so we're in my code directory. This is where I keep all my files or all my random projects that I'm working on. Npm create Svelte, and this will be, I guess, Mumblr Svelte, and then we'll copy some things over. Yes, you will need to grab that project. All right, now, do we want a skeleton project, a demo app, I think I've only used the bare bones scaffolding before. Yeah, let's do that. Nope, we're gonna use TypeScript syntax. Yes, we're using ESLint. Yes, we're using prettier. I have not used browser playwright before, but I do intend to write unit tests for this particular thing, and maybe we actually want to do browser testing as well. Although I'm not sure. I'm gonna add that later if we need it. All right, cd Mumblr Svelte. Let's open this directory. Or I guess I could just do this. All right, and then /Mumblr. All right, let's see. Okay. I think in a lot of these things, actually, you know what? Let's open this in VS Code. It's probably the easiest way to visualize the difference between, because then we can actually pop open the files and all that kind of stuff without having to use like cat and other command line type things. All right, so we've got, let's start with the things that are new that we can just copy over. We've got our ESLint configs, so I'm going to copy those over. We have our gitignore on both sides. Is there anything over here that is new? All right, let me make a new section, call it Svelte, bring those things over. Those look like the new ones to me. And I can't yank. I tried to use the Vim pasteboard, and that does not work across windows of VS Code, which is annoying. Okay, I think that's everything that needs to be over here. So we've done gitignore, keep working our way down, npm rc. I don't know what would need to be configured about npm. Looks like engine strict true. I'm not even sure what that means, or what that command means. Bring over prettier. All right, now package.json is where there's going to be some major differences that we're going to want to go through and evaluate here. I think I would say we are at (1.0) private true. I don't know. I'll delete it. Okay, so here are the new scripts. I'm just going to replace all of these with, gosh darn it, I keep using yank. You have to use Command C and then Command V. Sorry, I'm so used to being able to copy things around using Vim and the Vim pasteboard here. Okay, so dev dependencies, almost everything is a dev dependency. And we have these other dependencies that we're going to need. So, the thing about Svelte, so the difference between dev dependencies and dependencies is when you run the program, when you run the program not in dev mode, you get everything in the dependencies list. When you run the program in dev mode, you get everything in the dev dependencies and dependencies. I'm not exactly sure, but the way that Svelte works is Svelte is a static site generator, so it's not like a server that's running. So it will compile a static site, and so I think everything can just be in dev dependencies. Okay, Command C, so that I remember, and then Command V over here. I think I'll need to move these things up to here. Whoop. What did I do? What did it not like? Copy, paste. I must have been using Y again. All right, kill the dependencies list, and then the last thing that we need is module, type module, and that has to do with the way that this thing will be, the way that bundlers and sorry, specifically like ESM and CommonJS and stuff like that, there's some funkiness with the type module in the npm package JSON that I've run into before. Okay, do we need anything from README? Creating a project we've already done. I'll copy over the developing and building into, nope, can't use Y. Gotta stop that. Command C. So we'll copy that into our README. What platform, what makes Mumblr different? Okay, here we go. README is moved over. Svelte config can just be copied straight over. TS config is definitely going to be different. So let's come over here, copy, come over here. Oh boy. So this is where pain can happen, is in the TS config, and I'm just gonna see if I can keep this one around. Normally I would just say delete everything because it's all in source control, blah 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 blah. But I think I'm gonna keep this one around in comments in here, just because I have a strong feeling that I'm gonna need to come in here and change some of these options. Interestingly, I'm not sure why this is already throwing an error here. All right, whatever. TS config, and then there's the Vite config file, which is also over here. All right. I think what it's complaining about is that I haven't run an npm install yet, so it can't find any of the things. The build target ES next. Yeah, I'm gonna hope that that Svelte takes care of that. Let's drag the static directory over. Add folder to workspace. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did I just do? Remove folder from workspace. Oh, I think I copied it in the wrong spot. Let me see. So, Mumblr, copy folder. That's what I wanted. All right, that looks more normal. I think it was trying to like add the whole thing in. All right, and then in source, what do we have over here? We have main TS style and Vite env. Looks like that's not even needed, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. We have a public directory which has some HTML files. Those will probably get moved to static, is my guess. And then source, the other source here, routes. So this is the actual Svelte code. I guess we could like move this to source old and then copy things over a little bit by bit. So let's see, copy, paste. There we go. Okay, so we've now moved things in. I need to go ahead and delete the dist folder. Delete. And then I'm also going to delete node modules. And all right, I think everything is good there. We can now cd into Mumblr, npm install. It's almost certainly going to be, well, it's definitely going to be a long install because it's got to install a lot of stuff, but I will be shocked if this works first time. Oh man, fingers crossed. Okay, npm run dev. What did it say? Dash 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 open. Okay. Whoa. I'm a little shocked. I'm not sure why this. I moved the code out. Like, how in the world? What? Super confused right now. Okay, so in source, there's our. This is what should be showing sveltekit.body. How in the world is it? Okay, there must be something in like static or public. Oh, maybe it's this index.html file that's loading. Maybe Svelte reads that by default. Let's go ahead and move that to source old. Whoa. Did I miss something? Is there like an index.html file on in the other? Well, we are not surprised that it didn't work the first time. Oh, you know what? Package JSON. I bet. Uh, no, there's no like. I was thinking that there was like an entry point or something specified in package JSON. Okay, so svelte config, ts config. Fave icon, logo dark. Move. I think these things need to go in static as well. So I'm moving things around, but I'm really confused why app.html should be the thing that's loading when I'm doing npm run dev here. Okay. I killed the dist folder, or the distribution folder, so that old thing is gone. The only thing it could be, it should be loading like app, should be loading app HTML. This should be the thing that is getting loaded up. ESLint. All right, let's do a quick search for index.html. Yep, that's in main.ts, which is in source old. So I'm not worried about that. Okay. Well, it's not loading at all anymore, which is... Oh, wait, I think I have it stopped right now. Okay. So back over here, npm run dev -- open. All right. Maybe that was cached. No. It was after I moved the index.html file that it actually, man, okay. It's a little confusing. Well, I guess let's go over to, here's a next step we could test. Oh, I'm running it over here. Okay, so I was running something in a separate browser. Did the distribution file hang out again? There's SvelteKit generated. Root. Types. Interesting. All right, well, let's go to cd Mumblr Svelte, do an npm install in here, and see if this runs. So we carefully copied everything over. All right. Npm run dev. Okay, cool. So we are seeing a problem here too. In Mumblr Svelte. Looks different than the other one. What is going on here? Okay, this is Svelte. Generate SSR. For help upgrading from Sapper. Huh. Okay, well, we made some progress. We got the, we generated the new Svelte application. We carefully copied things over and hit run. What we should have done in retrospect is probably should have checked the Svelte application that we generated and make sure that it ran, to which we find out that it didn't, which is strange because I need to go look at my other Svelte applications that I've been running. So when we get back from this break, take a 5-minute break. When we get back, we'll go dive into some Svelte applications that I've already written and see if they're running, and then see what might be the difference between the generated one and make sure that we did the generation right. Really strange and very unusual for the generated code to not, a brand new application to not work right off the bat. But we'll see what's happening in 5 minutes. So I'll see you guys in 5. Start break. Welcome back to Coding with Jess. We have just finished a 5-minute break and we're about to start on Pomodoro number 2 of 4 for our 2-hour-long coding session just now. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. Start another 25-minute timer. So with our first Pomodoro, just a refresher of like what we're working on today, we have begun porting our site from this proof of concept single file with all the functions in it, with no framework, to Svelte. And we started out by generating a brand new Svelte application, which is contained in this folder right here, Mumblr Svelte. I'm pretty sure, I was like making sure I didn't like move things out of here. Pretty sure this is exactly. So anyway, we generated a brand new Svelte application, and then we copied files over between into our existing application, Svelte Mumblr, and moved some of the things out of the way. Let me see. Root.svelte. I want to open a workspace, or open recent Mumblr Svelte. What in the world? Okay, let's try it over here. Open that. Thank you. VS Code was confused. Anyway, so here is on the right one of the Svelte application that we generated. On the left, oh, did I like move to like workspaces or some madness? Ugh, whoops. Anyway, on the left over here is our Mumblr application in which we have copied over files from Mumblr Svelte. Now, as soon as we did that, we found out that Mumblr didn't run anymore, which wasn't terribly surprising because we made a bunch of changes all at once. What was surprising is that Mumblr Svelte, the brand new Mumblr application, or sorry, Svelte application that we had just generated, did not run. And that was a little bit surprising. So I just did a fresh npm install, npm run dev -- open. Make sure I wasn't doing anything silly before. Nope. Seeing the same internal server error here. Now I did use the skeleton project as the starter point, but it should actually run. So let me, or at least I think it actually runs. It looks like it has the necessary things to run in it as far as I'm reading it. There's an app HTML in here. Inside the app HTML, there's the TypeScript file that like boots up the application. There's a route file with an index.svelte. This should get inserted in app HTML when it runs, because this is the index of the application. So it should work. It doesn't. So what we're going to do is jump over to one of my other projects that is built on Svelte, Sociotechnica. I have 2 different ones we can look at. We'll look at this one first. I'm just going to run this one and make sure it works. This -- open thing is wigging me out a little bit. I wonder if that's the problem. If I just do npm run dev. Boop. Nope. No luck. All right, kill that. Over here to Sociotechnica site. Let's do npm run dev here. And it works. Okay, so we at least know that this site works. Let's do some quick comparison here to see what might be different. Oh goodness. Why are things annoying? Like, why do things fail like this? All right, so in package.json, I'm just gonna do a quick comparison of versions of things. Adapter auto next, kit next, Tailwind, we're not using it yet, we will. TypeScript ESLint, that shouldn't matter. In fact, none of this other stuff should matter, with the exception of Svelte.js adapter. Svelte.js kit right here. So that version's fine. We are using TypeScript and tslib here, a different version than we have over here. Vite got left in here. Well, that might explain why Mumblr wasn't working, maybe, because Svelte runs on top of Vite, but should take it over itself, as opposed to. Also, my scripts aren't changed. Well, there you go. The script is running Vite dev. That is clearly wrong. Wait, now I'm really confused. Did I like copy the scripts the wrong way? Or have the scripts like actually changed? This should say SvelteKit dev. Okay, hold on. No, Mumblr has Vite as well. I'm a little confused. So Sociotechnica, which is the one that works, does not have Vite as one of the things that. All right, I'm gonna just generate a new one. I'm out of like. That just takes just a second here. npm create Mumblr Svelte the second. This is gonna be a skeleton project. Yes, we're going to use TypeScript. Yes, we're going to use ESLint. Yes, we're going to use Prettier. No, we're not going to use Playwright. Done. CD Mumblr Svelte the second. Oops. Silly. Ah. Okay. CD slash Mumblr Svelte the second. Code to open it. I mean, maybe in this most recent version of SvelteKit, maybe the package JSON has changed that significantly. Yeah, there's Vite. Yeah, and it is Vite dev, Vite build. To heck? Alright. So apparently that's like the new way to do it. I mean, this application on the right over here, this SvelteKit application, is literally 6 weeks old. So apparently the generator has changed that much in 6 weeks. So let's go find out why that is the case. See. Project structure. I wonder if this describes the package JSON. There you go. Must include SvelteKit, Svelte, and Vite. And it doesn't actually have to include that in order to work because Sociotechnica does not, and it works fine. Super confusing. Okay, hold on. This one was created 6 weeks ago. I have one created 3 weeks ago. Maybe that one will give us some clues. Oh man, I guess this is what I get for using SvelteKit, which is fairly fast-moving beta software. Ah, jeez. All right, so Medium Mashup, I believe, is the name of the other one that I'm running. Maybe I called it something other than Medium Mashup. Let's look at the change date here. No, that's not it. Not my research notes. There's Sociotechnica, TS Web Starter. That's not it either. Mumblr generator. Oh, maybe I don't have Medium Mashup on here. I think I was working on my laptop, so let's go grab that real quick, or actually we can just look at it here. So Medium Mashup, another project that's about 3 weeks old. Package JSON here. Also does not have Vite, also has the SvelteKit. Okay, I guess things have changed. Fan-frickin-tastic. And don't appear to work. A SvelteKit project is really just a Vite project that uses the SvelteKit Vite plugin along with any other Vite configuration. You choose to add tests, they'll go in the test directory. As you develop and build your project, they'll put it in the SvelteKit directory. Wow. All right. I'm like terrified to upgrade these other projects that are actually working, since these generated projects don't appear to. So yeah, we'll run in this Mumblr Svelte the second just to amuse ourselves. We'll go ahead and run the npm install here. I also wonder what version of node I'm running here. 855 17.8. That's like a really recent version. But I'm betting that this is not gonna work. Hey, it works. Okay, well, so SvelteKit the second worked. Let's close that. Which one is running over here? This one? SvelteKit 1 v1.0.0. This is okay. That's Sociotechnica, which is also working. That's SvelteKit the second. I'm gonna run it again. Okay, I was just wondering if it was a port thing, because that was 3000. This is 3001. This is Mumblr Svelte. Let's run dev here. For some reason that went to 3001. That one is having a problem, which was generated mere moments after. All right, so for whatever reason, Mumblr SvelteKit the second, or Mumblr Svelte the second, is working, whereas the original one was not. Package JSON. Maybe I can do a diff of Mumblr Svelte and Mumblr Svelte the second. I don't know if the diff command does a deep. Does. Sweet. Awesome. Hey, look at that. There must have been a push. Is that right? Oh, this is just in package lock. So there's a subtle difference in package lock JSON. But no, there was definitely a push. A version changed between in the last 20 minutes. Good grief. Oh man, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. All right, so what we're gonna do is do a quick comparison of Mumblr and Mumblr Svelte, the second package JSON, make sure all the versions line up. Let's see, and then we're gonna delete node modules and delete the package lock from Mumblr, and then do a reinstall in Mumblr. 2913474. Okay. Everything looks about right. So now what we're gonna do is check out just a couple of things. Okay, everything looks good. So let's delete package lock. Boom. Move the trash. Yeah, I said move the trash. I was serious. And then delete node modules, move the trash. Now I think this first one is in Mumblr. Yep, it is. We're gonna npm install here. Hopefully it gets the same, picks up the same versions. Hey John, nice to see you. Joining us in YouTube is the inimitable John Borichevsky. Alrighty, that was frustrating. Let's see if it works though, since we apparently have one minor version difference. Doggone it. All right, still not working. Well, let's do a comparison real quick. So let's compare. We just looked at the diff over here. Let's do a diff of Mumblr's package lock and Mumblr Svelte, the second package lock. And well, there's going to be a lot of differences because we are pulling in all of these things, the rehypes, the web natives, all that kind of stuff. So this isn't going to actually be very productive. Well, I guess that's one thing that we could use to eliminate some variability here is I could comment these out. Doesn't like that style of comment, so we'll do that one. Jess, what are you thinking? Comments are not permitted in JSON. Silly monkey. And the whole file is JSON. So I was gonna pull it outside of this JSON block, but the whole thing is JSON. We could, since this is, could pipe this to less. Now that I'm in less, I could search for. Looks like all the changes are. Huh. Super annoying. Okay, so we are over here in Mumblr. Kind of feel like we need to just start over. So what we can do is do a get checkout dot. That'll get us back, and a get clean -df. All right, now we should be back to a state where this works. We've now basically purged Mumblr of all the changes that we made with those couple of commands right there. So let's do let's delete the node modules again and delete package JSON again, package lock. And then let's do an npm install. Man, what a pain. All right, npm install is run, and let's do an npm run dev. And Mumblr works again. Cool. Okay, so we've now restored Mumblr to its original state. We were able to connect. Everything looking good for local development. Now, over here, let me shut down the server. I did. But pop over here to Mumblr Svelte the second. We're going to leave Mumblr Svelte just for the wasteland that it is. And let's run dev here. Make sure that this continues to work. It does. And I wonder if there's a way that we could like incrementally move things over. So let's see, what windows do we have open right now? I've got Mumblr Svelte open and Mumblr Svelte the second. We could start by, how could we make this work with the simplest possible changes? All right, I've got some ideas. Let's, we don't need ESLint or Prettier. Those are just like developer nice to have type things. Actually, all of they shouldn't break anything. Anyway, well, let's just leave them alone for now. I'm going to delete package lock and node modules. Here on the right is our like good working Mumblr. Oh, this is Mumblr Svelte. Whoo! Glad I double checked the window title. Man, that would have been annoying. All right, open code dot. All right, so on the right over here is the thing that's actually working, the Svelte generated application that's working. Who knows why Mumblr Svelte didn't work. And we're going to try and copy over a couple of these files into here to migrate Mumblr into a working Svelte application, and then we can kind of move things around. So I think the minimal thing would be moving source old out of the way. No, just don't do anything. Don't do anything fancy. Thanks. Then we want to move index into public just to get it out of the way. because it seemed to be that seemed like it was picking that up when it first tried that. So we're going to copy source over. All right, so the source has the actual Svelte application in it. Then we're going to change our package JSON by grabbing scripts here and overriding these scripts here. We're going to grab the dev dependencies and overwrite these dev dependencies. And there should be a comma there. We're going to add type module. Okay, now package JSON's ready to go. We'll need the Vite config to be changed, because the way that Vite is going to work, it's going to be working through Svelte kit. And then we'll need this Svelte config file. All right, I think everything else is optional. ESLint, ignore, CRJ, should be fine. Do we need the static directory? No, not really. It'll just cause a failure when we try to access the fave icon. Okay, so that was as minimal as I can possibly go on the Mumblr side of things. So now we're going to do a rerun npm install. Fingers crossed. Come on. I mean, npm install has been working fine. Well, fine in the sense that it downloaded different packages like 20 minutes apart, to the same run 20 minutes apart, downloaded different packages. Goodness gracious. JavaScript, what an ecosystem. What an ecosystem. Your TS config should extend the configuration generated by SvelteKit. Well, that's a nice warning. Did I not change TS config? Ooh, I didn't change TS config. Okay, good call. All right, so come in here and change the TS config entirely. It's a really handy warning. Thanks, SvelteKit sync. I'm going to run npm install again. I don't think npm install overlaps with TS config in any way, but that SvelteKit sync is kind of handy in that it like reported that as an error. It's kind of nice. All right, so then now we're going to hope against hope that it will finally work. Hoorah! We have a working SvelteKit app in Mumblr. Okay. It just occurred to me, by the way. I don't know why it just occurred to me, but it did, that I could have gone the other direction. Could have started with the a working SvelteKit application and dragged in things from Mumblr as needed. I don't know why I didn't think of that as one of the solutions. Anyway, I guess that's me being silly. Okay, so it took us almost 2 full Pomodoros to get to this point of having running software, but now that we have running software, we should be able to like actually build some stuff, which is great. So this over here on the right is, let me go ahead and close the other VS codes. On the right, we have a working localhost SvelteKit application. On the left, we've got our code. And let me see if we want, what do we want to do over here? So I'm already looking at the time and thinking about next Pomodoro, right? So we're going to take a 5-minute break here in about a minute. So I'm kind of planning out my work for the next Pomodoro. I think the place we want to start with Mumblr is probably just getting the styles in place, like the look in place. So index.html here is our Mumblr application that has the way we want to structure it. Probably want to start there by replacing app.html with that, and then figure out how we're going to handle styling or CSS, because we have our CSS styles here in source old, and just not do anything fancy or programmatic yet, but just start by getting the application to look right. And that'll also force us to ask some questions about what the component structure should be. So for those of you who have not seen Mumblr app in a little bit, because I haven't really been messing with it that much. It's a pretty simple application, but we do have some things that we may want to think about the way we want to make things into components. And yeah, that might be what we look at next. All right, so that's the end of Pomodoro 2 of 4. So we're now 1 hour into our working on Mumblr and moving it over to Svelte. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and I'll be back in 5 to start Pomodoro number 3. Talk to you soon. All right, welcome back to the stream. And we just finished a 5-minute break, about to start our next 25-minute Pomodoro. So we've got 2 Pomodoros behind us and 2 ahead of us, 1 hour left in this live stream. So let's dive back in. We finally have a working application that we can work off of. So we got 25 minutes to start making this look like this. All right, so this should, hopefully we'll be able to make quick progress here. Our index.html file is the old Mumblr file that we brought in here. And so let's actually bring that over and make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Move that over, and we're going to be copying things over between index.html and app.html. So app.html in SvelteKit is your sort of high-level layout. It has the head function, or the head section in it, which you're able to like insert things in, and then you have your body. So I think probably what we want to do is use index.svelte as the place where we embed the majority of our stuff from index.html. Because the way that Svelte works is it has this idea of routes, and in the routes folder, you can, index would be everything under slash, and if you wanted something like a slash about, then you could have an about.svelte file over here. So since this is kind of the high level thing, we'll copy some of our things from our head that we might need. Let me see if there's anything here. Actually, you know what would be nice is to use an actual split frame here and open app.html over here and index over here. Okay, great. So one thing I am grabbing is I'm grabbing a font from Google APIs. So let's grab that and drop it in to our app.html. There may be a better way to embed fonts. I'm not sure. Okay, UTF-8, care set, that looks fine. There's no title over here on the right. I think that usually comes in via SvelteKit head, if I'm remembering correctly. I've overridden title on some of my other SvelteKit applications, so I'm going to leave title out for just the moment. In fact, I guess we could go look at it right here. No, it's inheriting title localhost 3000. I think there's a little like section here you can do to like say to give title a default value. But we'll do that in a little bit. No reason to do that right now. Our favicon.svg, let's use our favicon. So we didn't finish copying everything over that we needed. So let's go do that real quick and make sure it doesn't break things, because that would be unfortunate. So here is our SvelteKit application that we generated. We need to copy over ESLint and kill this frame here. Boop, boop. Move that over. Let's copy over our prettier ignore and our prettier RC. And then the other things we were going to copy. We've already got SvelteKit, we've already got Vite config, we've already got TS config. It was the git ignore. There was a couple lines in the git ignore that we wanted to copy. So let's make a new section here. We'll call it Svelte. And it's those 4 things right there. Cool. Those are over there. And then we also grabbed the static directory. I had mentioned that. No, cancel. I don't want to add that to my workspace. I actually want to copy it. And in there, we have a favicon.png. Let's delete that one. And let's move. Whoops, I deleted the whole whatever. I'll create it manually. Static. And then let's move our favicon. Where is it? There it is. Into static. Yup. I do want to move that in there. Okay. Alrighty. All looking good here. Oh yes, the README. So I just wanted to copy the instructions on developing and building. Oops. Copy those into the middle of the README. So right up here at the top, we have like an overview of the application. And then, yeah, that all looks good. And we'll have developing, building, and then some more information about Mumblr. Okay, I think that's everything we want from over here. ESLint, and oh, npmrc. Again, not exactly sure what engine strict true does. Maybe I should. All right, so let's see if we broke anything. Go ahead and stop the application, npm run. Actually, before I even do that, npm install, just to see if that npmrc did anything. Doesn't appear to have. Npm run dev, open. All right, things are still working. Good deal. Okay, so maybe now is a good time for an interim commit because we basically have a working state that we can get back to. So let's check out a branch. We'll call it Svelte port. And we'll add everything. Actually, let me do a get status real quick and make sure nothing's showing up in the get status that shouldn't. Make sure our get ignore is configured correctly. Looks good. Yeah, this is not, none of these are generated files. So, all right, we're gonna get add dot. That all looks good. Working Svelte application. Woohoo! All right, that is something. Let's go ahead and push this up to the origin so that it's at GitHub. Svelte port, set it to track this branch. We'll create a work in progress PR before we finish up this pairing session. But for right now, we're in good shape. Server is running on localhost 3000. We've got everything copied in. We're going to make some changes to index.svelte. We were just making a couple changes to app.html, which I think we are done with. Yeah, I think so. Let's see if is there anything about HTML language? No, that looks good. So now we can go ahead and full screen this again. Open, split this down the middle. Index is now open on the left, and then index.svelte. Well, index.svelte's on the left, index on the right. Okay. So we're going to want to bring some things in here that are inside the body, basically. So I think we can go ahead and just copy this whole section here. That's funny. See how misformatted. You see that this is like misindented here? Interesting. All right, so we'll bring that in. Go ahead and delete the default content in there. Why is it complaining about image? Oh, should have an alt attribute. Yeah, probably. Okay, I don't need to bring in the script module here. Okay, there's a good example of where we could start with a component. So here's a footer. We could split that out to a separate component so that it's available on every page. All right, so now let's go over to our server. There it all is, unstyled, doesn't have the plugin connecting SVG, so we'll need to figure out how to reference that static application, or that static resource. So we're going to want to grab these SVG things and actually move them into static, because they are something we'll access. You know, it occurs to me that actually a better way to do this, rather than putting them in static, might be like importing them in, building a little component and having that component know about the different states of login. That could be a cool little way to use. Term word wrap on real quick. Wrap. All right, there we go. Okay, index.svelte's throwing problems. Interesting. So it's complaining about the disabled true, which I guess I could delete for now. Remember, the reason that we have these as disabled true is that when people first log into Mumblr app, they should not be able to publish or type in here until they're connected to So if I open this in here, these should be disabled. And so disabled true is actually the right thing. I don't know if that means that in a Svelte application, you may not want to do it, or if this is just giving me some hints here. Anyway, we're going to leave it as is and work on styles now. So we've got all of the things loading in. Now, how are we going to style this up? So CSS. Our CSS right here is style CSS that we've been using for our existing one. I'd love to pull that in, but yeah, okay. I was just asking myself a question of like, do I want to use Tailwind? I've been using Tailwind CSS on the other two Svelte kit projects that I've been working on. And Tailwind is very nice, but the CSS is pretty much already handled for this. I don't really want to port this CSS over to Tailwind right now. And so let's just get it working with vanilla CSS, and we will go with, we'll potentially move things over to Tailwind later. All right, so where does one stick a CSS file? And like, do I just stick it in the static directory and go from there? For assets included via the CSS URL function, you may find the experimental use option useful. Svelte kit. I don't want to install Tailwind CSS. Thanks. Although I'm sure most people do. Global CSS in Svelte kit. Each Svelte component has its own styles. All the styles created that component will only ever be able to mark up inside that component and must specify with the global on the style rule. That is kind of nice. All right, so then how would I do that? Wait, each component, not each route. So then, all right. So then that implies that we're actually going to want to push our, like, divide these text areas and inputs and all those kind of things into separate components and then style them individually. I guess we could start with the footer since that's a really obvious one. Alrighty. Back over here to the docs. Layouts. Let's see how layouts work here. Okay, so we'll probably want, I remember this now, we're probably gonna want a new file. There's a special file called __ layout.svelte that will wrap all other things. And so let's start with wrapping. Let's move the footer over to layout.svelte. And then layout.svelte will need a slot, is where the index will be inserted. And we could grab the top button up here as well and paste it up above. All right, let's see it. Nothing should have changed. It hasn't. Okay, let me modify this just to make sure that the changes are getting picked up. A special vision experiment. Yep, you see the change on the right over there happening. So, all right, we've got our layout in place and index.svelte is getting inserted into the layout. But we were talking about components. We're trying to do styling, like focus on styling. And apparently styles sit alongside components. So let's see. Huh. It's got information in here about layouts and like overall structure, but nothing about how you might organize components, which is kind of surprising to me. Hooks, node. Maybe it's just not in this particular documentation. SvelteKit is currently in beta. Boy, don't I know it. I felt that today. Right. So back into this project structure. They talk about source? Yes, here we go. Lib contains your library code. That's where we're going to end up putting our a lot of the code that's sitting in main.ts. So, for example, the login information here is going to go in that directory. The thing that is used to generate the application will generate the blog from the markdown files will go in there. Params, routes, param matchers, interesting. Routes contains pages and endpoints. We really only have one page right now. We'll have endpoints probably eventually. I think we might use the endpoints to like serve up the markdown files. I don't know. It's just an idea. Interesting. I'm not sure. So I think I need a more in-depth tutorial potentially. Svelte component library. So it seems like the component notion in Svelte is more around all right, let's go over to one of my other projects that I've been working on Svelte with and just see if we can glean anything from that. Although for both of these, I'm using Tailwind. And so I don't know that there are any styles that are alongside the routes and pages. Let's see. Here is a resource page. Script at the top. It looks like, yeah, it looks like I'm using Tailwind to style just about everything in here. Oh, interesting. So I could just use this import style. Let's try this. All right, so this is in layout.svelte. Import app CSS, and then let's move this, rename to app CSS, and bounce it over to, so was that at the top level? Looks like it is at the top level. Okay, so source, move to there. Alrighty. And I think that'll do it. There's got to be some sort of preprocessor or something. Whoa! Well, I think it's safe to say that that worked. Like yes, we have properly imported the CSS. So this is localhost 3000. It's now grabbing the CSS and just setting it at the top level and importing through the layout. Worked a charm. Worked a charm. Okay, so now we have Mumblr styled up appropriately. We have was very useful exercise going over to see how Sociotech, the other site, did it. Okay. Svelte port. What do I still have over here? I don't need this veat.env file. I'm going to remove that. We have our favicon. What favicon am I using here? Oh, it's not pulling in our favicon. Did I not set that in? I think I can delete index.html for now. We've already divided that up. So about is another page, which we could bring that in. Oh, cool. Okay, so we'll do another page here in a second, since we just have like 4 minutes left. And post template, index template, and template style, these have to do with the generated blog that you can find at an example of under stream JessMart.in. So these are actually going to be sort of like part of our overall templating system. So we'll leave those alone for now. Now, why? I think it would be in the app HTML. favicon.png. How about SVG? There we go. Nice. So we got a nice little fission favicon there. We do not have a title yet. So we're going to want to put that in. I think that goes up here. And let me remember how titles work. Head. Like that. Cool. All right. Remember, I can't use the Vim clipboards. There we go. Cool. All right, Mumblr. Okay, so now we should have a title. We've got one. Awesome. We can override that title in other pages in a second. We have the PNG showing up properly. Oh no, it looks like I deleted the wrong thing from source old. Oh, I can do a git reset. Let's see, where is it? Source old, git checkout, source old, main.ts. Very much going to need that file. That has all of our code in it for how this thing works. So delete veat.env. There we go. All right, so main.ts will probably get put in our lib folder here in a second, but so far this is looking pretty good. So this is probably another good spot to stop and check in. Cool, it picked up all those changes. Styles now work. Let's give a nice sparkle. There. Push that up. Cool. And then the other thing we said we were going to do real quick is make another page, which we can do here by creating a new file, calling it about.svelte, going over here to about.html. Let's grab all this stuff. All right. And then insert that here. And we'll go to /about, see if it. Oh, right. This about page is also part of the templated or generated thing. So let's delete that for now. Not that Mumblr doesn't deserve its own about page, but that about right that we're looking at there is what's used to generate this. So when you get the generated blog, there's both the home page and an about page, which it occurs to me we need to make the about page custom. Let's go over to our little, we have begun the port for sure. Let's see, replace Jess's Mumblr static text at top of generated blog with user's name. We'll also need to replace the about text with users text. Sweet. Okay, so we are at a good stopping point. We are now 3 Pomodoros into our 2-hour work session, so we're an hour and a half in. We're going to take one 5-minute break, and we'll be back for our final 25-minute working session here, and hopefully we can dive into getting some actual interactivity using Svelte as well, now that we have it running and all looking good. So taking 5, see you guys in 5 minutes. Alrighty, welcome back to Coding with Jess. We are now about to embark on our final Pomodoro of today's coding session. So 30 more minutes left in this 2-hour live stream where we've been porting Mumblr over to SvelteKit. All right, so let's get back to it. Let me start our next timer and let's see how far we can get. All right, here's what we're working with so far. We've been porting to Svelte to get our little proof of concept code into a much better state on an actual framework, and we have gotten all of it working in Svelte with styled up appropriately in Svelte, but we haven't added any interactivity yet. We haven't broken things down into components, haven't done anything fancy. It's literally just HTML and CSS at this point without any JavaScript. So I'm not exactly sure where to start on the JavaScript. The hard part, or one of the hard parts, is going to be handling the web native initialization. And I think what we're going to need to do what I'd like to do to pursue that is the Fission Suite repository has several Svelte applications that are running on web native that should have like a good examples that we can follow on initializing web native. So there's one of them, Laconic. Let me see if I can like sort by Svelte. There we go, Svelte. Huh, I thought there were more than that. Oh, some of them might be on some of the Fission people's personal, their personal repositories. So we're probably going to want to just copy what they're doing there. These are some really old ones, so that's not it. So I'm not sure I want to try and tackle that in the remaining 25 minutes because that's the harder, more challenging part. What we could do, what are some of the other interactivity pieces that we could work on? Let's see. Most things that we're doing are gated behind web native and are going to rely on initialization. So if we go through our TypeScript file that has our code from Mumblr, again, remember we put all this into like one giant TypeScript file when we were originally working with Mumblr, and now we're going to actually try to slice it up and move it into the right places within Svelte. So this is our publish action. Let's just fold all these, and then you can kind of see what's happening inside these different things. All right, so this first section up here at the top, sorry, I'll stop bouncing around here in just a second. All right, so this first section up here is some configuration variables for web native, what the app name is, your creator, as well as what paths you want to access, you ask permission for. This next section is actually the web native initialization. This is turning on debug lines. Then this next section is update the UI based on, connection status. Oh, that's just getting a variable to access the connection status component in the top right hand corner, so I can do stuff with it later. This section right here is what is updating the UI based on the login attempt. So we tried to connect to, login is not the right word. We tried to connect to web native, and based on what happened during the connection, this updates the UI accordingly. And then we have basically two buttons in the site. There's I wonder what this async function does. Re-enables the publish button. Got it. So it's basically only two things you can do. You can publish a markdown file to web native, and you can build the site out of the existing markdown files. So the publish stuff is all in here, and it doesn't like that. Publish stuff's all in here, and the build stuff is all down here. So we could start by enabling build, but each one of these things, publishing and building, is going to require web native access. In fact, I think building requires web native. We could technically read the posts from Yeah, because they're stored in public, so they are not encrypted. We could technically read the posts from a web gateway instead of reading them from IPFS, uh, but we are reading it from the local file system. That's where this fs.ls is. And by local file system, I mean we're reading them from the IPFS client that is running in the front end. So both of these require web native initialization, which means that we pretty much have to tackle that right now. Okay, well, I guess that's as good a place to start as any. So what we're looking for in web native initialization is when you click this component right here, click this button right here, it should try to initialize and connect to web native. So how would we do that in Svelte? So I'm imagining this is in the top of the layer here. Here we go. Here's our button. Probably going to want to turn this into a component and then have some TypeScript that executes when it connects. So let's see. Again, I was dissatisfied with, let's see if there's any, see if this is already working in the Laconic app that's built on web native. They are using TypeScript. Let's see. Oh, look, he has a components folder. That's exactly what I would expect. Components. Oh, weird. Are these like, these look like really general purpose components. I wonder if he's brought in some kind of, yeah, basic theme and IA for demo. Yeah, so he's got some kind of theme thing going on here. So yeah, I think components might mean something different in Svelte than I'm used to it meaning. So inside lib, it's got our session, store. Let me see if there's, let me search this repository for the web native initialization stuff. So, oops. Search for initialize maybe. There we go. Source lib web native utils. All right. So he has, so yeah, here's all the initialization code, and then the redirect to lobby. Log the user out by manually deleting. Yeah, that's all right. So then that seems like a reasonable pattern. So in source lib web native utils, we could stick all of that code in there. But where is this code being called from? Let's see. What does it export? Get when fs is exported there. There's a redirect to lobby that's exported. There's a logout that's exported, and initialize that's exported. Well, let's see about get when fs. Where is that actually called from? So in source routes contacts add. Okay. So then within, this is on, this would be a specific page. If I'm understanding this correctly, contacts, add. Yeah, add and index are two pages underneath. Well, that's interesting. There's like an embedded style there. Okay, cool. So this doesn't look too bad. This pattern, we can probably just copy this pattern over here. Let's make a new folder. We'll call it lib. File. Where did he put it? Does he have anything else in web native other than utils? Stores, interesting. Yeah, I was curious about this. If we're going to need to use some form of state storage. This session storage, default session state. I'm gonna leave that stuff alone for now. I'm not exactly sure. Let's go ahead and create a web native directory, and then in there we'll create a utils.ts, except we'll name it utils.ts, not tx. There we go. And we should be able to copy in a lot of our old code. Let's split this panel, open main.ts, which is right here. Okay, like we talked about, all this top stuff is related to authentication, so I'm just going to paste it in, but we're almost certainly going to want to organize it a little bit differently within some functions that we export. We are going to need to grab that. Oops. Copy. Make sure we import wn, which we'll be using for a lot of this stuff. It's interesting that it doesn't like that. Export initialization error. Oh, expect to break statement. Yeah. That's a, yeah, I'm letting that fall through by default. Okay, so then let's see how he organizes stuff. He does import the type, so we may need that as well. Go ahead and bring that in. Session store and default session store were not, that's what I just said I wanted to ignore. All right, so let's state, so his fission init only has permissions in it. I think what we've got is fine. This const permissions. Web native setup debug enabled true. So that's our just gonna move it up here. Same place. Whoops. And then he's exporting export const initialize. Equals async, and this is going to return a promise. And then he's got the whole thing wrapped in a try. He's got the switch and everything inside this. So here's the state, web native state up there. Okay, so the state's getting defined here in our version. Let me go ahead and close these out. As I'm looking at this, I'm not sure it's the right pattern, but all right, there's wn.state. So once he grabs, so he opens, does a try, and then he does this web native initialize right here, which roll all onto one line, and then he sets the state variable that we have a hookup to right up here. He sets that to st, And then he does a switch over state.scenario. So he's missing this insecure context. Oh, there it is. It's down here. Okay. So that's this little try catch thing. So then try is here. So then we'll want to create that there. Bring that catch up here. Oh man, convoluted, hard to read. And then here's where he handles the switch statement. Why does he have like, what is this, like 8 spaces or something? Oh, it's tabs. Woo! That's hard to read. Okay, so yes, I don't want TX files. So then this switch statement is going to get pulled up into right here. That I don't need. Where does he get a hook on the file system? There it is. Interface, statefs. And then there's the get. Okay. That looks reasonable. All right. All that looks good. And then I think we've got a problem with our catch statement here. Catch error opens. It's not a function. And that means we don't need that. We got our switch error. We're not doing. Yeah, this is where we need to do a little bit better job. And then I think that can go away. No, that needs to come back. Okay. So then our other switch is up here. Right. We have all this connection status stuff that we're doing things with that we don't have access to yet. All right, this is looking better. So when auth canceled, now we just have console log statements in here. Auth canceled, not authorized, breaks. All right, it should format now. All right, that was a lot of copy pasta. Let's see. There's the switch statement. This one goes up to the try statement. This one goes to the catch. So there should be one more. Boom. There we go. Now Prettier was able to format it. Const st equals that. State equals st. Case. This is going to tell me that there needs to be a break. I'm sure. Expected a break statement before case. Can I quick fix disable no fall through for this line? There we go. Alrighty, and same here. Quick fix disable no fall through for this line. Thanks, ESLint. State. Well, we don't explicitly need this right now, so I'm going to disable it. Because we're not using get winfs anywhere. Okay, it looks like this might compile right now, which is great. Main.ts does not, that's fine. Um, okay. So then I think what we want to do, we got about 5 minutes left, is in our, let's see. Okay, so that's where you can call functions. Okay, let's see if this works. We will go to, I guess it would be layout that's Svelte. I think so. Yeah. Okay. And then we're already importing that. So this is going to be a script with the language of TypeScript. And we're going to write some code in here. We'll start by importing initialize from $lib utils web native. I think that was the function that we exported. Initialize. How about how about that? Is that actually a bug in this? I'm so curious. No. Alrighty. Did I type that? Or is that a bug in Mumblr? Whatever. Initialize. Okay. We're importing initialize from that. Why does it not like my script here? The component can have only one instance level script. Well, excuse me. All right, lib utils web native. Wait, that's not right. It's like lib web native utils, right? Initialize is declared, but its value is never used. Cannot find module lib web native utils. Oh, because lib probably needs to be inside source. Okay, let's do this at the command line. We're in Mumblr here. Move lib to source. Now refresh this thing. Initialize is declared, but its value is never used. Yes, I know. All right, where is this? Source lib. Aha, I was right. Source lib web native utils. Hurrah. You know what? Maybe it's been too long since we've restarted the web server. No, it still doesn't like that. But up. Cannot find $lib web native utils. Did I do another silly spelling mistake here? No? All looks good to me. $lib web native utils. Womp womp. Alrighty. Port star. $lib web native utils. Aw, shucks. Why not? You know what? We're just going to move on and hope that it resolves itself here momentarily. Let's see. So the next thing to do would be to have a function get called on the click for this button. So it looked like that was happening in here using contact form on handle submit. That's interesting. async event. Let me see if I can find a simpler advanced event example. Function handle click. Okay. Whew. Well, we are at the point of, we have been coding now for 2 hours on our Svelte conversion of Mumblr, and have made a lot of progress. We've got a working branch now that has the HTML, it has the style, and we have just started adding our first, which is actually one of the harder things we have to add in terms of functionality, which is the ability to initialize web native and sort of share that web native context across the entire application. So kind of right in the middle of that. So probably what I'll do at this point is, we've been coding now for 2 hours. I could definitely use a break. And you might want one too. So I'm gonna probably check in a work in progress commit here and also open a PR. And I'll link to this video from the PR as well, and link to the PR from the video. Yeah, like both ways, bi-directional. So thanks a lot for hanging out on Coding with Jess. It's been a lot of fun working on Mumblr. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place, probably continuing to work on Mumblr. And build this little tool. So thanks for hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. See you later.